I appreciate all the support from the last video. There's a couple of things I want to clear up. I definitely said U-joints instead of ball joints. I definitely called full access UTV, all access UTV, and I want to make that clear. It is full access UTV at markedmotorsports.com. All the links were down in the description anyway. I'm about to see if I can turn a 2-hour job into an 8-hour job. Filming and putting this in. We're installing Brute Performance's diff lock gear on the Kawasaki KRX 1000 today. It's a 2022 model if you saw the last video. A couple of people I've talked to said it's pretty easy and straightforward. We're about to find out. Let's see if I can condense hours worth of work into minutes. Thanks. When it comes to the diff lock gear kit, you basically have two choices. You have Brute Performance and Dedicated Motorsports. The Dedicated Motorsports I know can be bought on Marked Motorsports website. The Dedicated Motorsports gear is made out of 300M steel. After reading up on the 4340 chromoly and the 300M steel, I don't know if there's enough of a difference there to say which gear is stronger or not. Dedicated Motorsports claims that theirs is the strongest at $299. I went ahead and went with Brute Performance for $15 more. You get the shim and you get the diff lock shift fork shaft. It's supposed to help take out wobble and slack in the shifter mechanism. We'll see how good it works. Okay, so fuck. Told you I was going to take a job that was supposed to take a couple of hours and turn it into an all-day ordeal. The Marked Motorsports hardware is standard, not metric. It is 5/8 on the front. The best thing I could get on the back to fit was an 18, but it was loose, but it still broke it loose. So this is the next step. Let me see if I can finish it up being able to film it. It's got a washer back here that I don't want to lose. Into the pocket. There we go. No problem. There we go. No problem. And that's the washer I don't want to lose. Into the bucket of bolts. So we need to pull the axle and separate the upper and lower. Maybe I could just separate the ball joint and lift it up. It's probably the best thing to do, right? Instead of doing all the extra work. All right, get back at you in a minute. Actually, I think before we do the upper control arm, go ahead and loosen the axle while I have the spindle together. Of course, one-handed's always the funnest. Yeah, so if you can believe it, I go in the garage to get a socket. First socket I pull, 27mm. See if I can do this one-handed. Also, if the Milwaukee M18 can't take it off, it can't be taken off. The Surefire torque wrench. All right. All right, now the upper control arm, ball joint, nut, 19mm. Of course I'd drop it. Of course I would. going to take my hammer. I'm going to tap right here. And there we go. I think instead of taking the brake line off, because there's some kind of weird clip right here, I just think I'm going to unbolt the 10 millimeter and the brake caliper, which looks like some kind of hex bolt, but just fine. Of course, the brake line looks right in the fucking way. I don't know. Let me figure it out. All right. So as it turns out, that's just a rubber grommet and a hook. I had so much dirt on there, I couldn't see what it was. So I'm just going to disconnect that brake line bracket, and that brake line bracket, and zip tie this control arm out of the way. All right. Got the control arm up, out of the way. There's that bracket that just holds that rubber clip. Fucking dumb. And now the tie rod is next to go, and we'll do that by removing the cotter pin, removing the bolt, and giving a light tap right here. So it looks like the tie rod castle nut is actually bigger than the ball joint castle nut. I used the 7/8 on this one. It came right off. I'm sure it's probably somewhere around a 20 or a 21 millimeter. All right, here we are. Fucking hours later. I had a mishap, okay? And I couldn't get the axle out without taking the spindle off. When I went to take the spindle off, I fucked up the lower ball joint. So my beautiful wife is on her way, an hour away, mind you, to go get a fucking ball joint. But now that we got everything disassembled, here we are. And I've accidentally already popped this out 2 or 3 times, but because the spindle was in there, it would not come out. So let's see if I can do this one-handed this time. Oh, look at that. Fucking Kawasaki, baby. And next we'll begin disassembling all of this right here. Here's the spindle. I had fucking yeah, we're not even going to talk about this, but just so you know, here's where we're at. Need to put the press the ball joint back in. There's the press where I pressed it out. Came out easy. That wasn't an issue. So, all right, next. All right, so it does state in the instructions that there's 2 dowel pins in there, and that you will need a pry bar or a screwdriver to take it off. See, I still got a little bit of oil sitting right there, but I thought I drained it all. It was dripping, but you know, it is what it is. We'll power wash off what we drip everywhere else. But so now this cover's coming off, and we'll see how that goes. All it took was a little nudge with the screwdriver, and I just pried it off the rest of the way with my fingers. We are dripping a little bit of fluid, but ain't nothing that won't clean up.
Pay special attention to where the red arrow is. This is your shift mechanism right here. It has to be in the down position that it's in. This is where I made my mistake going back together. It was up just a little bit, which made the whole thing 1 tooth off. Pay attention right here.
So on to the next step.
So we get a new pin in the kit. Oh, let's go take this up there. Well, we definitely got two different colored metals, and I don't know. Oh, well, either way, it still makes me feel better. So was all this work for nothing? I don't know. Hang on. So from the side of the gear, I can definitely tell that the teeth are thicker. And I mean these teeth. These, I don't know. It's hard to tell from here. You can decide. Some things I want to make note of. I'm putting this in. This new pin is a lot snugger. It feels like it's kind of spring loaded in there, and push it in, and then the cover fits on there and keeps it snug. From what I'm reading in the instructions, you want no wobble side to side, but you still want this to be able to move freely. Now I almost fucked up because I put the shims in there. They were packaged. They looked like one shim, but I put everything together and snugged it down and everything was tight. So I pulled that bolt back off, and sure enough, there was two shims. Ha ha ha. No, just kidding. But yeah, there was two in there. So be careful if you're doing the kit. Make sure you check for that. The gear seems to want to catch and set in there. So we'll put the cover on, we'll put the axle on, and we'll test everything. All right, there's the cover back on. Yeah, bitch, I use blue silicone. I don't care. It's what I had. All right, next, actuator, axle, do some testing. All right, I told you I somehow turned a 2-hour operation into a whole fucking day. There's a whole list of problems that I want to talk about, where I screwed up, and hopefully where you can do better. But for now, it is done. There's gear oil on the ground everywhere, but it's back together. The drips are from where I got it on the frame, and of course it's dripping, and it works. I already went through several test drives. I was kind of panicky there for a minute, but we'll go through what I did, what the problem was. 4-wheel drive, diff lock, and yeah, feel much better now. But let's take this inside. My mic battery is almost dead, and I'm gonna give a quick summary of what happened and what went wrong. All right, I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible. Thanks for watching the video. Back to where I screwed up. The lower ball joint. When I was taking the lower ball joint out, typically on an automotive car, you can screw the nut back on the bottom, and you can tap that out. I didn't like tapping the control arm because it was powder coated or painted, and I didn't want to mess it up. So I went to tap that out, and I hit it just right, and it caused the nut to jump threads. I ended up having to take a hacksaw and cut it off, and she had to go and get a ball joint an hour away. I told her while she was there, buy two. Here's the thing. The ball joints do not come with, if you're going to buy one, they do not come with the nut, and they do not come with the snap ring on top. Do not screw those up, taking those off. The second thing I didn't like, the shift fork pin that came with Brute Performance kit seemed like it was a hair too big and it did not want to slide into the hole. And that cover being cast aluminum, I didn't want to tighten that down and crack that cover. I opted to go with the old pin. And like I said previously in the video, the electric actuator has to be lined up to, there's a little mark that points to R. All these instructions can be found on Brute Performance's website. And I had it up one. It was a tooth off and it wouldn't engage. There was also another part on the website that was kind of hard for me to understand. I mean, you're reading it and it says actuate it. Well, I went to grab it by hand and try to actuate it and get it to lock in, and it wouldn't go. It wouldn't go by hand. So I was afraid to force something to break something. I have a bad habit of trying to force shit to go where it shouldn't go or in ways it shouldn't go and breaking it. So I opted to not do it. After I took the actuator back off, the shift mechanism and all the way down, realigned it, put it back in, everything worked fine. So I got frustrated. I got frustrated at the end of the day. I didn't record myself putting it back together, but just reverse the steps. It's really not that hard. Just remember before you go in and do it to drain the differential oil. I did not do that, and I had to rearrange the whole jack and everything else to get that out. With that being said, I appreciate you watching the video, putting up with the crappy video. I tried to keep it as short as possible. Nobody wants to watch shit drag on. If the video helped you at all, give me a like down at the bottom. If you're feeling frisky, give me a subscribe. We got some more rides coming up, trying to get to some new places, and hope this helped. Appreciate y'all. Thanks.